Hey South Weaver, I am just getting on here. I wanted to talk to you for just a brief few minutes and let you know of some important things that are coming up at our meeting on Tuesday. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in and let you guys know about some of these things. So first off, we are able to meet back at City Hall. We sent out an email about that on Friday. I believe the mayor has issued a statement, and it was also on our social media page. So if you haven't yet signed up for our emails, you can do so at southweavercity.com. And also we've been working really hard on updating and consistently working with our Facebook page to keep you all updated too. So if you're on Facebook, which you obviously are if you're listening to this, then make sure to go like that South Weaver City Facebook page as well. So here's what it means for you as far as our meeting on Tuesday. We have 2 public hearings, and we also have the RV park finalization and a discussion on the boundary between Uintah and South Weaver. So I know those are a lot of important things. Our 2 public hearings are on our budget. So I'm just going to walk you through a couple of things real quick, so you guys can all be prepared for that. So starting off here, if you want to go ahead and comment on the public, I'm going to flip you over for a second. Let me tell you about City Hall first. City Hall, we are opening up. If you feel comfortable coming to City Hall, you are able to come, and if you're going to comment, they do recommend that you wear masks. We will be social distancing and a couple other precautions. The mayor has asked at this time if you are not planning to comment to join us in on through the live, watching it through YouTube. We also are offering 2 other ways for public comments. So we have, you can still continue to send the email at publiccomment@southweavercity.com. And then also we will be offering the option to call in during the meeting through Zoom. So how to sign up for that? If you're not going to come to City Hall and you would like to do one of those other options, I'm going to show you how you do that. Right here, off to the side, we have how to participate in council meetings. You can go ahead and click that. Or if you want to pull up their agenda, you see that there is a link right there for you. You can click that link and it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. So one thing to keep in mind about public comments and public hearings. So public comment happens at the beginning of our meetings, and it really can be about anything that you would like to discuss. Public hearings are a little different, and they're different by law. So we have to make sure that we open up public hearings, and when you are speaking about commenting on a public hearing, it must stay with that specific discussion. So if we're having a public hearing about our new budget and you would like to comment, your comments must be about that new budget. So if you have comments about, say, the Uintah border or the RV park or something completely different, you want to make sure that you want to give those public comments at the beginning of the meeting and then save your comments for what is on the public hearing at that time. So how it's been set up is you go ahead and enter in your email address, and this will be for a city council meeting, and the date. And then you can go ahead and select here. So here's our 2 public hearings. One is an amendment to our current fiscal year budget. We have to make some changes to it. And then we have a public hearing for our new budget for the next fiscal year. So if you have a comment on each one of these, you just go ahead and click each one. If you only want to comment on just the new budget, you would just click this one. And what that will do is it will give you a link for each of those times, and then let Dave know what it is you're commenting on. So you can come in at public comment or come in during those public hearings. So I'm going to do a quick walkthrough on what it is. This is all in our packet under the June 9th, and I'll link it below this video. But our amendments to our budget is on page 24 and 25. And we need to make some changes because we had some unexpected both expenditures and revenues come in this year that will need to go under the 2019-2020 budget. So you can see all of those on page 24. This is what it will look like. And it will say, here's our two revenues that we had come in, the $80,000 and the $95,000. And then some expenditures that we weren't expecting or we didn't plan for under the 2019-2020. And then if you scroll down one more page, you can see a little bit more information about this. So we actually received an extra $80,000 we weren't anticipating because we had a higher volume of development. And we have also from our developers paying for streetlights in new developments. We have $95,000 there. That $95,000 is put into the fund, and then right here you can see $70,000 is coming right back out. And that's something that's on the agenda item as well, is going forward with the streetlights, and you can see that in the packet as well. So this would be your amending. So if you have any comments about what you feel with these amendments, this is when you would wait for that first public hearing. Then we go to the second public hearing, which is to adopt our new tentative budget for 2020-2021. And this is something that all cities are doing right now during this time. They get adopted in June. So this is something that has been in the works for, well, basically since the last one got adopted. And they've been working really hard on this. But if you turn to, let's see, it's page 27, and it goes to 121. So it's pretty big, but 27 just kind of gives you the highlights. And so you can see any things that change significantly or anything that is worth notating is right here in this quick little summary. And you can see that then it then opens up to the budget. So right here, we have our introduction, and it will show, here's our budget summary. It will talk about things that we're doing in spite of COVID-19 and the changes that we're going to be having there. It has a section on our guidelines and our principles, and then some of the changes that we have from our capital projects and things. So keep in mind, capital projects are one-time large expenses. So the redoing of Cottonwood Drive, for example. It's a one-time major expense that isn't covered under the daily operation and maintenance of everything that the daily budget we have. So, okay, moving right along. After we have our public hearing, we will make a motion, or there will be an action item on that. So either to accept it or reject it or amend it. And then we will move to the Riverside RV Park. So I know that this has been kind of a process in motion for quite a while. So just a quick recap, we have an RV park that is going in on the west side of South Weber. And it is gone through Planning Commission, received a CUP, and then was realized that it needed to actually come to council. Any business that's over 1 acre that has a conditional use permit, that's a CUP, needs to have council approval. So then it came back to council, and committee met with McKay Winkle, which is with the RV park, and kind of had some discussion about some things, and then it came to council on January 28th. So that was a public meeting that we had with McKay there, and got a lot of great feedback. Got a lot of great feedback from residents, got a lot of great feedback from McKay, got a lot of great feedback from the council. And so at that point in time, the owner and the developer decided to continue working on some items and wait and get it ready, because they didn't feel that it was quite ready for consideration. So some of the items that the council was hoping to address in the meantime was the city and the county boundary, which this parcel is 12 acres, and there are about 4 acres that are technically in Weber County. There was also some concerns about a limited ingress or egress, and then there was some fire protection and water system setup concerns and some safety concerns. So in the meantime, between January 28th and right now, there has been an RV park committee, and it consists of council members and staff that have been meeting regularly with McKay and his team and working through a development agreement and working through some of these issues. And they are finally feeling ready for it to come forward, and so they are bringing it forward on Tuesday. So in the packet, you will find the original CUP issued to them from the Planning Commission, and you will find the development agreement that they have been working on with the RV Park Committee over the last few months. And then you will also see all their plans and everything. Not much has changed in the way of their plans, but there was a couple of things that they were able to find a resolution to. This has not been finalized. This is coming towards council, and the council will make a decision. So this is basically, they feel like they've gotten all their ducks in a row, and now they're bringing it to council for finalization. So one thing that was resolved with the boundary, McKay has actually been working trying to get that boundary resolved, and it was told to him that it would be from the lieutenant governor that he would need to get this situation resolved, and it came back that the lieutenant governor was not the one that would be ruling on this, and it's coming back to the cities. So the acreage in questions, which is about 3.2 acres, is for the time not going to be allowed to be developed. He can go forward with the other 8 acres in his plan, and he can get started working on those. However, he is not going to be able to work on those other 4 acres until that boundary resolution is completed between us and Weber County and Uintah. He needed to get a floodplain permit, so that is something that he's also in the works for getting. He will still be giving a 15-foot easement trail on the north side so that it will tie into the Weber River pathway there. He will be contributing $35,000 to the repaving of Cottonwood Drive, and he has fixed the fire flow issue that we were having problems with earlier. Another thing that is new is that he will be contributing to the TUF Fund. So the TUF Fund for any other business is calculated depending on what's called ERUs. And in this case, where it's transient lodging, it makes it a little complicated because he has that long-term and he has those short-term stays. So if you build an apartment building and you live there, then you pay that $15 a month. That goes into the roads that you're utilizing by living in South Weber City. Well, for a hotel or something that's, you stay for 4 or 5 days, they don't necessarily need to contribute to that, so they base it off of ERUs. But in this case, where he was having a portion of the trailer park having long-term stay, we felt that it was necessary that he contribute to the TUF Fund. So there is also a calculation of ERUs and how much he will be contributing to the TUF Fund. We can't just make it arbitrary. There are certain guidelines and laws and regulations that we have to follow. So Brandon Jones, our city engineer, has been working on just figuring out what those ERUs would be and how much he needs to contribute to that for how many long-term sites he has versus how many short-term sites he has. So in addition to the property tax that we'd be getting, the sales tax that South Weber would be getting, they will also be getting some contributions to the TUF Fund with this development, which was not the case beforehand when we met in January. He also was able to get an additional means of ingress-egress for emergency purposes. So those are some of the things that they have been working on. You can see in our packet this development agreement. I know there was a lot of back and forth going on this. I know that the council members that were a part of this committee worked really hard on finding a balance between the developer and the city. And so I would encourage you all to go ahead and look at it. I think I covered, a couple of things that the development agreement will specify is that he is going to be required to put a fence along I-84, a cable barrier that will have an opaque masonry fence. And this is for safety for both people that are on the freeway and for children and things inside the park, that barrier between the freeway. He has limited or dropped the amount of stay. Beforehand, he could have people stay for 180 days, leave the park for 5 days, and come back for another 180. He has agreed to drop that down to 120 days for long-term stays. They need to leave the park for 7 days, and then they may come back and stay for another 120. So that was a significant change there. That's 3 months less than what they could have stayed before. He's also agreed to put the sign 450 feet to the east of the entrance. So it's actually going to sit where the for sale sign is for that lot right now. And it's basically at the far end on the south side of the park on the far east side. You can see it now. There's a sign there for sale, showing that it's for sale. That's where their sign will go, and they'll be held to the same standards as what's in our code. We don't have anything in this packet about their sign or about what they're going to be doing, but when it comes to that time, it will have to be something that will be approved as well. Okay. I feel like that's most of the things that it has on this development agreement. And then what we also have in here, I'm happy to report, is his rules. His rules he did not have with us in the packet on that January 28th meeting. And I really wish he would have, because a lot of the concerns that residents had actually been addressed in the rules, but it wasn't in the packet, so it was hard to know that. So we do have his rules finally handy. You can see those in the packet as well. And some of the things that I felt were good changes and adjustments that he have is he's not allowing anybody to have their mail sent there. These are all things to deter long-term stays from just camping out and living there. So you can't have your mail stay there. There's a great deal of limits on the amount of things that you can have outside of your parking spot. As far as winterizing your vehicle, you can only use a skirt meant for the RV. You can't use plywood or hay bales or straw bales or whatever other concoction you might figure out. There's some certain things that can only be utilized for winterization to help keep it looking nice and looking clean and help people from becoming a permanent fixture there. There's also a lot of things with noise and lighting and transient coming in and out, and parking. This facility will not allow any ATVs or boats or trailers, additional trailers by what I mean by that. So none of those will be able to be available in the park, and those rules are also tied to his CUP that management will give all of his rules to his customers based on his conditional use permit. Also in the packet is our conditional use permit given to him from the Planning Commission. So this is something that we can review as well. I'll just go ahead and turn it around here. So he is required to have a 24 on-site management. Quiet hours will be from 10 to 7. RV park rules will be posted on-site and given to all patrons. The management must enforce park rules, and then if he makes any changes to the rules, he needs to let the city know within 1 week so that we can be aware of that. And the reason for that is because if we have the rules in hand, then it helps with our code enforcement as far as enforcing those rules if there's a problem there. So let's see, am I getting everything? I would just really encourage you to be able to go in and look at this. There will be a playground at this park. There will be a pool at this park. The trailhead will be on the north side of the park. It will have a fence between the RV park and the trail. So there's a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to consider, a lot of things to look over. And so if you have any thoughts or comments on that, I would encourage you to make sure to read it over and make some notes, and then make sure you make that public comment available either by coming to City Hall or by doing the email option or signing up through Zoom. So lastly, well, actually two more just quick things. There's a couple other items on the agenda, but I won't touch base with those right now. But one more thing is we have our street lights are going to also be approved. These are for our new developments, and the reason for that is because the developer paid for them. So any of our newer subdivisions, the developer is required to pay for new streetlights, and so that money has come in. We've been able to pick out our lights and everything, and the municipalities committee made all of those suggestions and recommendations, and now it's time to find somebody to install them. So that is a thing that will be coming up on our agenda and we'll make an action on. So for those of you that are in some of those newer subdivisions, you will be receiving streetlights soon. I know there's a lot of older residents and a lot of dark roads on our streets, and our municipalities committee is working on finding a way to pay for more lights. If you see, those lights are quite expensive. I believe, let's see, I can actually tell you real quick. It's, I think, going to be $168,000. I know the developer paid at least $90,000 to supply these newer neighborhoods with lights. So anyway, but this will be a good choice for us in the long run, because right now we have Rocky Mountain paying for our lights and maintaining our lights, and by owning them ourselves, it's actually a long-term investment. So, and then lastly, we have our situation with Uintah. So what happened here is the business park on the east end. So our border follows the river, and on the east end over by that Starbucks in Uintah, that business park also includes a portion of it is in South Weaver's jurisdiction. Doesn't really make sense for us to have it because we can't service it. However, because of the layout of the river, it is in our jurisdiction. So Uintah approached us and was wondering if we would be willing to work on this border and the negotiation of it. A committee was put into place, including Councilmember Blair Halverson and Rob Osborne, which is the chairman of the Planning Commission, the mayor and staff, and they met with Uintah city officials, and they will be discussing those boundaries. Right now, what's being proposed is, I'm just going to flip this over. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's basically going to follow the north side of I-84. So this part would be South Weaver, and over here would be Uintah, starting right here, going all the way, and it will follow 84 all the way down until we reach the RV park here. At that point, it will follow right here. This is where the RV park is proposed. This is Cottonwood Drive. So this is all of our residents right here that live on Cottonwood Drive. And then our intersection. And then again, it would flow back down to the north side of 84 and follow the county line. And the county line will, at this point, just go, you see it right there. It actually just goes straight like that, all the way down to Hooper. So it'll just follow that. So it'll kind of clean up those borders a little bit. Like I said, only one council member and was a part of this discussion. So I don't know how the rest of the council feels about this particularly. I know I have some concerns with it and some thoughts about it. We will not be making a decision on this. We will just simply be discussing it. So if that's something that will affect where you live, or something that gives you something to have thoughts on or concerns about, please let us know. And we'll make sure that we're making the best decisions for South Weaver. Okay, I think that's everything. So the meeting will be this Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And if you choose to register for Zoom, please know that you have to register by 5 o'clock on Tuesday. What they will do is they will send you an email at 5:30 that will give you the link to get into the Zoom meeting. You will be placed in a waiting room, and then when it's time for public comment, you will be added to the room and you can speak your public comment. We will be able to hear you, and then you'll be moved either out of the meeting if you have nothing more, or you'll be moved back into the waiting room if you are planning to be a part of the public hearings. And then if you choose to email, at this time we will not be reading the emails aloud, but just make sure you get those emails to the council before the meeting so we have a time to read them and to respond if able, and take that into consideration as well. So anyway, okay, that's everything, South Weber. I hope you're all being safe and all is going well in your neck of the woods. I know we've had some increases in our COVID cases here in South Weber, so if we could keep those who have been affected by this in our prayers and in our thoughts, and I know that we're going to pull through this. So appreciate your dedication and your involvement in our city. Just can't do it without you guys. So appreciate you so much, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.